it is a really important time for farming. It's why we've launched the recovery, why farming matters, the role we want to play in it. And what I want to just say in a few words this evening is that it's great having the strong ministerial team we've got, but there are so many big issues, the comprehensive spending review that's coming around, that we actually need a ministerial team that's going to really work across government. And I know, Secretary of State, you've made comments to that effect this afternoon in your speech. But look, let's just look at reflect on what we've seen over this summer. The grain spikes, the prices that have zoomed up again for the third time in 3 years, the fires in Russia, the floods in Pakistan, problems with crops in Canada. We have again re-established that food production is emphatically important, and as Claire said in her introduction, we've got to learn to produce more, and we know we've got to do it in a smarter way that impacts less on the environment. Whether it's GM technology, cloning, super dairies, polytunnels, smart irrigation of crops, producing 70% more food by 2050 while lowering our impact on the environment, we're going to have to try new things. And we need to experiment. And we should not just reject it because some people have a predisposition against it. So many of our members at the NFU are struggling at this moment in time, where they're trying to communicate with us or trying to access new markets. This is a fantastic way to liberate farmers, to give them an opportunity to be less dependent on that brown envelope I talked about before. Let's give farmers the tools to be able to access modern markets and modern ways of diversifying as well.
There is a great deal of potential for farming and our food industry to claw back some of the ground we've lost to imports and also to extend our exports. We have huge potential. And some sectors have already demonstrated their ability to penetrate export markets which have been closed for a very long while. Ministers today rightly cannot set prices. I know there's some farmers wish we still did, but we don't, and I think that's right. But we do have a responsibility to try to create the environment and the opportunity in which farming and food production can succeed. That is the basis of our approach, the one that we all as ministers share. It is the reasons for those decisions that I've just referred to that we've already made, and it is the stall on which I set out my goods, and I very much hope that over the coming months and years we will really start to put this industry back to where it belongs in the public esteem and the British economy.
It's really come across how much enthusiasm we have for the farming industry, for food and for the environment. I've been staring at a sign all evening which says, "Why farming matters more than ever." This is why farming matters more than ever. The government's chief scientist, Professor John Beddington, predicts a perfect storm. By 2030, we will not only be short of energy, short of water, but we will probably be short of food. And that is why we need to build an industry that is resilient, not just to the needs of this country, but I think we're going to be feeding many more mouths beyond our own shores. And that is why this whole team is dedicated to getting that right, to getting the balance right between producing food sustainably and looking after our environment, about innovating, about helping to raise productivity, about making farming a really attractive frontline industry to go and work in, because I believe it will be. We're going to be utterly dependent on it.
I go and talk to colleges where young people are packing out rooms to listen about the future of farming. What I would say to the panel here, to the Conservatives, to the coalition government, is not that we're expecting more handouts, that we're expecting you to subsidise farming and instantly at a stroke of a pen make it profitable, but just at every opportunity backed for the industry, whether it's in taxation. Don't think cities and PLCs, think small family partnerships and how we can put the right structures in place. Think planning, not always about localism, but actually how we're going to get the right poultry businesses built up if we're going to produce more of our food and help us where we have local challenges. And on the CAP, help us to get a fair deal that doesn't disadvantage UK farmers and not one that's all about the rebate, because I know there are some in the coalition government that think rebate before they think food production. We've had the most amazingly packed out Fringe meeting I've ever seen.
from the NFU. We've had over 200 people standing at the back of the room, people really quite excited about a ministerial team that has an enormous breadth of knowledge about the farming industry. We posed some challenging questions about how taxation policy should help farmers get on and invest in the future, how planning regulations shouldn't be so local that they prevent farmers again getting the planning they need to build their businesses, and also to make sure we have a CAP that doesn't disadvantage farmers, and that we don't have the old rhetoric of the rebate from Brussels is so important that we do a bad deal for farmers here in the UK. But it really was a very rewarding Fringe meeting here in Birmingham.